Hello, my name is Hunter Stover, and I'm in Gaming 225 with Professor Morrow, and this is my presentation on Frank Rosenthal and his contributions to Las Vegas. So his early life and start in gaming, Frank Lefty Rosenthal was born in Chicago, Illinois on June 12, 1929. His father owned and raced horses, spending most of his time at the racetrack. Rosenthal, in turn, also spent a lot of his time with his father at the racetrack, and while there, he became very interested in odds and the other ins and outs of sports wagers as he heard them discussed in the stands. As this developed into an obsession, he began skipping school to go to Comiskey Park and Wrigley Field in order to listen to experienced gamblers and odd makers to build up his knowledge on sports betting. As time went on, he worked diligently and listened intently to any advice offered to him and built a vast network of some of the largest bookmakers and layoff operations in the country. He came to be known as one of the great handicappers in the country during this time. So before getting into his life and the meat of his life, such as organized crime and his time as a casino executive, it's important to discuss what made him so great at making wagers to be looked at as one of the great sports handicappers of his time. In sports betting, a lot of people go on feeling, or they're looking for a thrill or their favorite team. However, Rosenthal did not believe in feelings, luck, karma, juju, or any other superstitions. He believed in math and data. Rosenthal made it a point to know everything he could about a wager he was interested in, as he knew there was no such thing as luck. Everything was math and data that he could compile and find the final result and crack that in order to make some money off wagers. Many individuals close to Rosenthal state that he rarely, if ever, used the word bet. He was always using the word wager because he wasn't making bets. He was making wagers that he based on data that he compiled and circumstances. There's a story told about him where his friend Tony Spilotro handed him a sheet of over 100 picks for sports bets. Rosenthal took the sheet and calmly marked 2 bets, stating that those were the only 2 out of the hundreds that were a good bet. So, he didn't only form a professional network, he also created a criminal network in Chicago. He formed a network with high-ranking individuals in the Chicago outfit whom he would place wagers for, making money for them and making money for himself in the same time. During this time, he also formed a friendship with Anthony Ant Spilotro, who was an associate of the outfit with dreams of one day running the whole family. Frank Rosenthal never was the archetypical street thug. He was a whiz kid with wagers and everything gambling, which offered him a path that the Spilotro type would never have. Organized crime, while certainly a blight on many industries and history in general, helped him down a career path that he likely would have never had access to, as Vegas in his time was dominated by organized crime. With that being said, he was only ever looked to because he could beat odds that were stacked entirely against the average gambler. It wasn't a situation of only knowing the right people, as he was a legitimate genius when it came to gambling. Over time, the crime family gained trust and faith in Rosenthal and eventually wanted him to head their casino operations to ensure the business was booming and to see that their involvement was kept quiet. Rosenthal moved to sunny Miami, Florida from Chicago as he gained a national attention and nice pocketbook from his endeavors in sports wagers. In Florida, he continued to make his living off of wagers on sporting events and helping some of the very wealthy, powerful underworld friends he made while in Chicago. He also bought some thoroughbreds and spent much of his time watching them race and hanging out at the track, just like as a child. According to Rosenthal, he was pressured to bribe the local authorities under phony bookmaking charges and was run out of town for not paying, also being banned from the state's racetracks. From there, he went to Las Vegas, and that started the path that elevated him to the status that allowed him to be known globally on the scale that he was. The outfit had money in a lot of casinos and wielded great influence throughout the country. This enabled them to prop up people as the face of the casino while having their guys run the show behind the scene. Rosenthal was the guy behind the scenes at many casinos, but his main focus in the casino he's most known for is the Stardust. The other locations he ran were Fremont, the Hacienda, and the Marina. He agreed to run these casinos from behind the scenes, but demanded full control of how the casino's gaming operated. point excellently portrayed in the movie Casino, where Rosenthal, played by Robert De Niro, is renamed Samuel H. Rothstein. This clip is obviously from a movie and a historical dramatization, but it's an excellent take on how Rosenthal would have responded based on his personality and the words of those who knew him.
Now all they needed was somebody they could trust to run the casino. And who better than Ace? I mean, he was already in Vegas a couple of years and he had the fucking place clocked. A typical Ace. Give him a shot at running a casino and he tries to talk you out of it.
I don't know if I could do this even if I wanted to. The gaming commission would never give me a license. I have at least 2 dozen gambling and bookmaking pictures on me.
You don't have to have a license to work at a casino. All you gotta do is apply for one. The state law says that you can work in a casino while they're processing your application. They got a 10-year backlog.
But what happens when they do find out?
Why would they want to find out? We're putting $100 million into this desert here. Why would they want to lock us out? Besides, they'll never find out. All you gotta do is keep changing your job title, like from casino executive to food and beverage chairman. And what happens is they take your application and put it at the bottom of the pile. I know guys been working there for 30 years don't have a license.
It's a tough proposition, Andy. You know, if I did it, I'd have to run it my way.
You got it.
I'm serious, no interference.
Nobody's gonna interfere with you running the casino, I guarantee.
Everybody start to sing.
So from there we can segue into Rosenthal's successes in the casino. Rosenthal wasted no time in executing his vision and using his background in sports wagers as he opened a sportsbook inside the Stardust. This had never been done on the Strip prior, and it takes no more than a stroll through the Strip's many casinos to see how successful an innovation this was. He was also remarked for being incessant in management style, once approaching the Stardust cooking staff and demanding a uniform amount of blueberries in each muffin. He also was the first Strip casino operator who had women blackjack dealers, which in turn doubled the profits of the Stardust in the first year of its practice. All of these successes were executed from the shadows as he shifted his job title time and time again in order to dodge scrutiny of the Nevada Gaming Commission. And that's where the setbacks come in. Due to Rosenthal's rising notoriety and run-ins with locals who had connections to the city and state officials, he was finally called in front of the Nevada Gaming Commission. He tried to get his paperwork in order and had an excellent lawyer in the eventual mayor of Las Vegas, Oscar Goodman. Despite trying to build rapport with the commission and some of the members of the commission, his case was dead in the water before it ever was seen. This is likely due to his relationship with the notorious criminal Tony Spilotro and some of the other issues he stirred up with local county commissioners. In true movie fashion, Frank Rosenthal confronted Senator Harry Reid after he denied the help he allegedly offered Rosenthal in his pursuit of attaining a gaming license. This was fruitless and merely served the commission well, and as they could show he was temperamental and threatening when not receiving his way. This marks the beginning of the end of the Frank Rosenthal era and mob rule over Las Vegas, with the exposure of their skim operation and huge amount of attention at the hands of Spilotro's criminal antics. To break into a bit of what the skim was, the crime outfit was not simply okay with taking filtered residuals from the casino profits and had a plan to ensure they could take their fill. Thus, the massive scandal of the skim of the count room was put in place. This was done early on with their investment in the casinos via the Teamsters Union. This is part of the reason the crime outfits had people like Rosenthal in place, as they were meant to completely overlook the existence of the skim operation. Frank Rosenthal did his job and never spoke out about the skim. Throughout many court cases, he maintained that he was ignorant of all involvement with the crime family beyond strictly random social encounters. Ultimately, the straight-laced face of the operation, Alan Glick, spoke out and testified that the crime family was stealing from the casino and had forced him out in all but title. There was also well-documented notes by some of the other crime associates that were discovered in their arrest that was used to bring down the operations. With the culminations of circumstances, the mob's era in Las Vegas fell apart quickly. Many of the crime bosses were arrested and convicted on huge charges for skimming millions of untaxed dollars from the casinos. Frank Rosenthal was a person of interest in the criminal case, but managed to dodge similarly large charges. Any of the casinos proven to be connected to the crime families were imploded or turned over to new owners. Frank Rosenthal's longtime friend, Tony Spilotro, was killed, likely due to his role in having the attention shift to the crime family. Frank Rosenthal was not immune to fallout from this explosive crumbling of an era. An attempt on his life was made in Las Vegas on October 4th, 1982, out front of Marie Callender's via a car bomb. He lived through this attempt on his life, a feat he credits to the fact that there was metal plating under the seat of his car. He stuck around in Vegas for a few years as the criminal cases were ongoing for the crime bosses. He was doing this to enjoy the gambling scene while he still could, as he knew his time was coming to an end in Vegas. He was finally forced out of Las Vegas in 1988 when he was placed in the Black Book, barring him from all gambling institutions in Las Vegas due to his ties with organized crime. Here are my references, and thank you for listening to my presentation on Frank Rosenthal and his contributions to Las Vegas.